Hello, Starseed family. So we're going to wait for a few more people to hop on. We're going to wait for people to embark upon our galactic family train. And we're going to go on a ride. And I have no clue where we're going this time. I rarely have a clue. So again, we have, oh, good. We have 174 people in the house. I just felt prompted to jump on with you guys to check in. It's all going to be unscripted as usual. So I'm 100% unprepared. But I do have an idea of the theme. So the title is Giving Your Power Away. And evidently that's impossible to cover that entire topic in a short YouTube video. But I do want to touch upon a few things, whatever wants to come through. Whatever it is that wants to express, I'm here for it. I'm going to just turn the faucet on and let it drip, 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 because that's what channeling is. We're just going to turn the faucet on and let it drip. So speaking of Mr. Dot, I just had someone say, hello, Mr. Dot. A lot of you aren't aware with my teaching of being a dot. And I do have an entire webinar that goes in depth as it relates to that. But just to give you like a brief overview of what that is. So a few years ago, I decided, and I had already deprogrammed myself a lot, but I knew there were a few threads there that I still needed to cut. And I was tired of feeling the obligation to respond to people, to reply to people. I felt like there were always critters on me, and all I really wanted was to be left alone. So my guides at the time said, you need to start being a dot. And I was like, cool. So what does that mean? And what they said was that we were going to have you erase your past and your future, meaning that you weren't going to plan anything anymore. Okay, no more planning, no more organizing, no more trying to coordinate things, but to really live in a state of empower flow, to be in the present and to ride the waves of the now. Now, again, this webinar was designed to have it be applicable for you in your life, but evidently it would be unreasonable for me to ask you to be a dot and to stop planning in advance. So being a dot is customizable. You can customize it to your liking. But I went all the way with it. I had to because I was going to be teaching it, right? So what might take someone 15 years to do, I had to do in like a year or in a month to really understand the entire teaching. So being a dot really means that I don't plan anything in advance, and I haven't planned anything in advance in like 2-3 years. I ride the waves of the now. I'm like a present surfer. I'm a surfer that's present. And again, it's applicable to anyone because I understand that some people have kids, some people have to pick up their dog from the kettle. Some people have to pick up their kids from the babysitter. So it is what it is. You can customize it to your liking. But for me, it was the most empowering thing I did because when I started saying no to everyone and I said I'm not around anymore, and then I eventually didn't say anything at all because I was tired of explaining myself, it became really clear to me that I still had some threads, some entanglement or some bondage with people that were expecting a lot out of me. And so being a dot was my way of saying, leave me alone. I don't want to plan anything with anyone anymore. I just want to live a pure existence. I want to live a vibrational existence. I just want to tune into my light body without all this interference from the outside. Because here's the thing, right? When you make a plan with someone ahead of time, and let's say it's Thursday and you have a plan Tuesday, the people you have a plan with on Tuesday are going to be thinking about you leading up to that Tuesday. And you're going to be thinking about them leading up to that Tuesday. So what that does is it throws you back into linearity. You're always thinking about what's to come rather than being present within your now and communicating with your own timelines without interference. I call it psychic interference. So when you're always thinking about what's happening Tuesday or what you might have done last week and how this person betrayed you or that person betrayed you or how all these things, when you add all these things to your schedule, your subconscious is continually getting bombarded with all the psychic interference. which prevents you, which disables you from really interfacing and interacting with your own future timelines. So for me, becoming a dot has allowed me to not only be in my full power, meaning being a dot is a return back to the 0 point field. It's a return back to your divinity. It's actually a fast tracking system to your divinity, to 5D, to New Earth. It's a fast track system. What it does is it's a hard reboot. And then from that place of now being a dot, it's a lot easier to pick and choose what you want to align with and what you don't want to align with. Whereas when you're already in a disempowered state, you don't really know where you're programmed. You don't really know who you have cords with. So it was very eye-opening when I started telling people I don't plan things in advance anymore, and I would see the reactions. They were very reactive, like, what do you mean you don't plan anything? What do you mean you can't see me next week? I was like, whoa, all of that's going on over there is mine, because I'm the creator of my reality, and I've unconsciously created all this bondage with people that probably anchored me in a lower state, in a lower vibrational state, and that kept me from experiencing the full spectrum of my divinity. So being a dot has been life-changing. And one of the reasons I did it is because I found that I would plan things and then the day would come around and I didn't want to go anymore. That's because your light body doesn't abide by all the old laws. Your light body, your light body is contained within a whole other structure of reality. It's a crystalline structure. It's a crystalline grid. So your light body doesn't conform to the old reality, right? Trying to fit 3D into 5D is like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. You just can't do it. It's like trying to apply laws or old rules of the old existence into the new existence. You can't do that. You can't drag old energy in a new energy. So 3D is like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, and 5D is the round hole. It's the dot. You become a dot. It's a return back to your 0 point field. And like I said, from that space, it's a lot easier to go, nah, yes, nah, yes. You're not giving your power away anymore. You're in your full empowerment. So the whole premise of being a dot was, I'm not going to live as a line anymore. Time is a linear construct. I'm not going to plan things in the future. I'm not going to bombard myself psychically, which is a form of self-abuse, to be honest. It's a form of self-abuse from my perspective now, when you plan all these things in advance and you're cutting yourself off from communicating with all your other dimensional selves. Meaning you have many selves, meaning you have many versions of you on different timelines, and they're all working together as a network. And when you live as a dot, you can be present and interact with all of them. But there's nothing getting in the way of that. There's no psychic interference because you're thinking about it and you're not getting bombarded with what that person's thinking, what this person's thinking. You remove all of that. And it's the purest existence ever. I'm also a firm believer that everything that we do is connected to a frequency, right? So when you travel, you're connecting to the frequency of excitement and of wonder. And when you throw an event, you're connecting to the frequency of possibility. And when you go on a date, you're connecting to the frequency of curiosity, like, oh, I wonder what this will be like. Oh, I'm curious, you know? When you try new food, you're connecting to, I don't know, whatever. Everything you do connects you to a frequency. And being a dot connects you to peace. So being a dot will ensure that you live in a state of peace all the time. Do I have a super exciting life every single day? No. Because being a dot isn't about excitement. Can excitement be weaved into being a dot? Absolutely. Can joy be weaved into being a dot? Can joy and peace coexist? Yeah. But being a dot connects you to peace. And having peace is invaluable. It's invaluable. So if you want to really get the full teaching of being a dot, that can be found on phillylife.com/webinars. And I go in depth. But being a dot, that's why people call me Mr. Dot. I don't plan things in advance. I'm not interested in going back to the old way of I need to put this in my schedule in order to feel important, or I need to plan this with that person out of obligation, because if I don't, they won't like me. And people are in so many enslavement memes without even knowing it. I promise, I entreat you to take 1 week and tell people I'm not planning anything in advance anymore. And all of your programming is going to show itself. It's going to rear its ugly head. You'll see it. You'll be like, whoa, what did I get myself into? And all hell has just broken loose. Yeah, because we all have unconscious programming. And sometimes we say yes to people because unconsciously we're afraid that we're going to lose them as a friend if we say no. And sometimes we go pick up a friend from the airport because we're afraid that if we don't, then they're not going to like us anymore. That's all programming. The people who love you will love you unconditionally. The people who love you will love you unequivocally. Unequivocally. So again, you can customize living as a dot. You don't have to say, oh, it's impossible for me to not plan anything. You have kids, but your kids are part of your dot, part of your creation. This is about taking responsibility for what we've created. And from that place, we can start to minimize obligations, distractions. All these plans you make with other people is just a distraction. You know, for me, I never even sold packages as an energy reader because it's another form of, I don't trust that my universe is going to provide for me financially. I live as a dot. I'm going to do this session with you because nothing else exists. The only thing that exists is now, and you may need one and you may not need one again. And that's great. I don't like tying myself to people. I hate it. I believe in your divinity. I believe that you can dig up the answers from within you. I also believe that if I'm not able to offer someone a weekly dinner, they need to be okay with that. They need to grow up and be okay with it. That's just what it is. But people have so much bondage, you guys. And they won't know it until they become a dot. They will not know it. Being a dot is like taking a flashlight out and being like, I'm ready to look at all of those dark corners, all of them. So for a while, you have to say no to everything and everyone. Because every time you say no, one of your unconscious programs is going to be shown to you. It's going to become visible. And you'll be like, whoa, I didn't realize that I had unhealthy cords with this person. And now I have to clip them off. You don't have to clip the person off. You have to clip off your own programming. See, everything in your reality is a reflection of your own self. It's a reflection of your own frequency. Everything. So if you have a friend that would potentially get mad at you for not wanting to plan anything, that's your program. You can't blame them. You created that. You created that monster. You understand? So everything that shows up in your field is your responsibility. You're the only one who can climb out of the hole. You're the only one that you dug it for yourself. So you're the only one that can climb out of that hole. So anyways, I'm going to get into what I wanted to discuss tonight, which is that, well, first off, being a dot is a state of empowerment. You are at peace with yourself. No one's calling you up, ooh, let's plan something next week. There's none of that stuff. There's no critters on you, all crawling around you, all these unhealthy expectations on you. You've become free because you chose peace. And when you choose peace, you are gifted with more and more psychic abilities. Universe, God, source, bestows upon you more and more psychic gifts. Because what was blinding you before, what was blinding your spiritual sight, your spiritual vision, your third eye, was that you had so much bondage with people. And you couldn't see clearly. But now that you've removed that, God, source, is going to bestow all these psychic abilities upon you. Which is why when someone approaches me, I can sniff out everything that's going on in their field. I can see with my third eye everything that's going on in their field, which is the opposite of being a dot, meaning all their programming, all their obligation, all their unhealthy expectations, all of everything that's dysfunctional. Because when you're at peace with yourself, all it is spiritual maintenance. You don't have to work on deprogramming yourself continually anymore. Because your power is back. You've returned to your power. So it's very easy from that space to just go, nope, sorry. It's very easy. It's difficult when you are enslaved to other people, or when you are indebted to other people, because that means that you still hold that programming within your physical system. So it hasn't been cleared yet. Once you clear that programming, it's really easy to be in your truth. So, all right. One of the messages that's coming into me right now is there are two ways for you to become disempowered. There are two ways to give your power. One of them is someone else. You're accepting someone else's lack. Does that necessarily mean that the lack was within you before that, and that's why you accepted it? No. You can be in an empowered state and then accept lack. And as soon as you accept someone else's limiting beliefs, someone else's limitations, then what you would do is you would dumb yourself down. You would accept lack. The lack would deposit in your body. And then this lack that's now in your body would descend you. You would fall from that higher consciousness, meaning you would get dislocated from God's source. When you're in your full empowerment, the only thing you have to watch out for is not giving your power away or not accepting the lack. That's all. It's very easy. So there are two ways to give your power away. You either accept someone's lack because you're afraid that if you don't, they're not going to like you. Or you hand your power over to another person because you're afraid that they won't like you. So it's either accepting or handing your power over. When you accept it, you are handing your power over, though. But sometimes we hand our power over when no one's asked us to do that. Meaning they weren't operating from lack. Maybe you were speaking to someone who was really confident and you felt insecure around them. And then you handed over your power because you were like, oh my God, you were trying to people please them. So you handed over your power to them, which dumbed you down. Or you can be in an empowered state and someone, let me think of an example. All right, this is something that's happened to me many times. People will say things like, why haven't you written your book yet? And in that moment, if I say, I guess you're right, I'm accepting their lack. And what I instead say is, I don't need to write a book. This is my book. My entire life is my book. My entire life. I said this earlier. When everything we're doing now is going to get registered in the Akashic record. That's my book. I don't need to write a book to be validated. I don't need to write a book to be approved of by God, by source. So if someone said to me, you should really write a book, if I had one moment where I got lazy with my spiritual walk, I'd be like, yeah, I guess you're right. And in that, see how I'm opening up a portal of doubt, doubting myself, doubting my abilities. And then that energy, their lack, meaning their own belief systems, that make them think that they need to write a book in order to be successful, would transfer into me. Once it transfers into me, I would then fall from my higher consciousness. Fallen angel, right? I would fall from my higher consciousness. And I would start to spiral downward vibrationally. So as a dot, it's really easy for me to look at someone and without even, without a blink of an eye, I'm like, why? This is my book. And right away it gets returned to the sender. I return that back to the sender. And they then realize that they were in their disempowered state. because they were trying to push something on me that was just stemming from their own lack. Oh, you really need to write a book if you want to be credible. I am credible. You know me, right? Okay, thanks. Now, here's the thing, right? Um, Society tells us all these things. You need to write a book to be successful. You need to write a book so people take you seriously. You need to get married in order to be legitimized, in order to be, legit. You need to, I don't know, make this amount of money to have your family, bow to you. That's all society. Society even tells you you have to go to school if you want to be smart. So my point is, what we do is, because we're already operating from that carbon-based structure, right? We were so programmed and conditioned as young kids. We believe everything that we hear. We believe we need to write a book in order to be successful. We believe all of that. That's because our DNA has degenerated. Our DNA has degraded. So we're not in that fortified state. We're not in union or in communion with God and spirit. We're not able to discern what's coming in. We believe everything that's told to us. We're so narrow-sighted that we're like, I need to write a book if I'm going to be successful, not realizing that from the overview, you're in your book. And when you die, your entire life is going to be a book. You don't need to write the book to be successful. You see what I'm saying? So we accept all these ideologies and other people's methodologies because we think that that's going to add value to who we are. And that's where we humans go awry. Nothing can add value to who you are because you are source incarnate. You are an aspect of God. You cannot be more divine than you already are. You know how we have a will? When you die, you have a will and you leave things to your children. God, in God's will, and God, but in God's will, he said, you're going to inherit my energy. You're going to inherit my energy. You're already divine. You don't need anything to prove that you are worthy. You don't need anything to receive that validation. And I said this today, and I thought it was brilliant. Stop seeking validation. You're not a parking ticket. Stop seeking validation. You're not a parking ticket. And the thing about humans, right? Humans think that if they meet someone who's more popular than them or who's more credible than them, and this other person that they've put on a pedestal tells them you should write a book, or you should release this, or you should release that, or you should do a class, or you should teach this, or you should teach that, because they put that other human on a pedestal, they're like, yeah, I will, not realizing that they're operating from a disempowered state. Never put what a human's done on a pedestal. Never do that. You are God incarnate. I really want you to get this. All these ideas that you have that you think are going to leverage you and make you a more important human, they're falsehoods. They're not true. What do you think that, I want to ask you guys an honest question while I have you on the chat. I want you to answer. It's not a rhetorical question. What do you think is going to leave more of a dent when I leave the planet, or more of a tattoo, a soul tattoo? Do you think that writing a book, if it's not in my soul, is going to leave a dent, or is going to stamp a hell of a signature on this plane of reality? Or do you think that going against the grain of the wood and saying you don't need to be popular is going to leave more of a dent? What do you think? The second one, right? Yeah. People who are exceptional are never going to follow the herd. They're not just thinking about this reality. They're thinking about the larger picture of reality, which is that while everyone writes a book because it's what they think they're supposed to do, I'm going to say, I don't need to write a book. And when I leave, the angels and the guides are going to be celebrating me for eternities. Anything you do that is different than what other people are doing is going to stamp your signature when you leave this planet. We're serving greater missions than what we think we're serving. Now, do I think that writing a book is bad? Absolutely not. I think that if God, source, spirit calls you to that, and you're joyous about the possibility of writing a book or at the prospect of writing a book, then that's you being in alignment. But if you're doing it because everyone else is doing it too, that's disempowerment. You're operating from an unaligned space and an unaligned state. So whenever you do things from a misaligned state, it doesn't create an eruption in the cosmos. It doesn't. Because you're not proving to be different than the rest. You're just following the herd. Which is why you have to be, when you leave your house every day, you have to be on it. The second someone says something to you and you're like, ooh, that's yours, boom, return back to sender. I don't need to subscribe to this. That's your belief system. Yes? Now, there's something else that's coming in. As humans, we are very quick to turn our power over to another person. We do this unconsciously all the time. If I had to give a definition for manipulation, I would say that it's you lending your power to someone to see what they're going to do with it. You lending your power to someone to see what they're going to do with it. And let me tell you something, that's never going to work out in your favor. Because you're in a law of attraction based universe or reality where when you hand your power over, your universe is going to bring that back to you on a silver platter to show you that you're not operating as a dot, to show you that you're still depending on other humans for feedback. Do you need humans to give you feedback? Really, do you? No. You do that because you're still lacking for something. You do that because you're still looking for Superman to rescue you. You do that because you're still trying to fill a void. Give you an example of handing your power over to another person. All right, let's go back to the people pleasing. You meet someone for the first time and you're being extra polite because it's the first time you meet them. You're not going to be yourself. You're going to be nervous and you're going to be, oh my God, you're going to be super nice to them. That's a form of manipulation. You're putting them on a pedestal from the get-go. You're handing your power over. And when they're not there for you anymore, you're going to get mad at them. When they're not calling you next week, you're going to get super codependent and be like, why haven't you been calling me? Because it's a form of giving your power away. You're like, here, I'm going to see if I can be comfortable with you and I'm going to see if I can trust you and let's see if I can depend on you to call me all the time. Yeah? How long do you want to keep leaning on people as emotional crutches? Because operating from that disempowered state will always mirror back in your hologram. Always. Your universe isn't here to send people to get to save you. Your angels aren't even here to save you. They're here to teach you how to save yourself. So when I hear people say, oh my God, Jesus is going to take care of me, sweetheart, Jesus is not going to take care of it for you. Jesus is here to show you how to take care of it yourself. What do you think a guide is? They're here to teach you how to become a guide. This is what we're here to do. Oh, God's going to take care of it. No, God's not going to take care of it. God's going to give you the intel you need. God's going to send you the directions you need, and then you have to meet God halfway. Thank you for the donations, by the way. So it's really messed up when you think about it, that we hand our power over to other people, hoping it's going to be different this time. Right? I think it's going to be different this time. Let me try again. Have you been here before? Yes, I have, Phil. Okay. So you're going to be there again. You're going to be there again because you're stubborn and you don't realize that you're just repeating the same old cycle. You're like a head on a wheel. So when bad things happen, they're not really bad. They're informing you. They're saying, hey, let's go back and look and inspect what you did. Let's go back and look at what you did in the beginning that caused you to disempower yourself, and let's not do that again. Start asking for what you want. Start asking questions. Get your mind right. You can't expect people to save you. It's not going to happen. So I will never be friends with a people pleaser. You won't catch me. You won't catch me outside with a people pleaser, because I already know it's someone who is going to need my friendship as opposed to want my friendship. And the second I'm not there for them, they're going to start playing the victim. Who has time for that? No one. I don't have time for that. I want you to pay attention to people who people please. Every single people pleaser is a victim. Every single one of them. You know why? Because they're resenting the fact that they gave their power away. They're resenting the fact that they gave their power away. And it's easier for them to point the finger at you rather than to go, ooh, let me divert my attention back to me and see what I did to hand my power over. That's why. I don't want people pleasers in my life. I want the divine you in my life. The you that I know that you are. Not the you that you believe that you are, based on your belief systems that have dumbed you down. We don't treat people like idiots here. We treat them like divine beings. Like divine beings. So if someone walks up to me trying to manipulate me, you're barking up the wrong tree. I'm sorry. That's just what it is. It's the wrong tree. Because I know every other tree you walked up to accepted that and condoned that, but I'm not going to condone it. Come correct. You're smart. You're divine. You can't keep doing this the rest of your life. You can choose to do it, but guess what? Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. You're going to stay at that bottom of the dark abyss, hoping that an alien comes down, flies down, and saves you. An alien is not going to fly you out of something that you got yourself in. You got yourself there. You know, this universe is intricately designed in such a fashion that everything that we do is ours. If you haven't received that influx of abundance yet, you're probably still complaining about money and how you don't have enough of it. Frequency draws like frequency. Your energy always goes somewhere. If you're playing the victim, if you're complaining about your life, if you're handing your power over to another person, your frequency isn't able to increase. All the all that good stuff is up there. And that's a linear presentation, but you know what I mean. All the good stuff, the abundance, new earth, all of this is above all that crummy, muddy water of the victim and the blame game and the poor me and the moping around and the crowing about your life. 5D New Earth is a crystal reality. It's a crystalline state of being. So, again, anything that you do that goes against your spirit is a form of disempowerment. If you don't feel like planning things in advance and you do it, you're disempowering yourself. If you don't feel like eating food you don't want to eat, you're disempowering yourself. If you hang out with someone you don't want to hang out with, you're disempowering yourself. I'm sharing this information with you guys because I went from nothing and I climbed my way all the way to the top. No one believed I would be where I am today. No one, not even my family. The doctors told me I had to live with my mom the rest of my life and be on these heavy meds the rest of my life. I share from experience. I don't read stuff and regurgitate it. I don't even read. I share from experience. You know, sometimes I listen to singers like Jennifer Hudson and all them. I can feel their pain. I can feel their experience. And sometimes I listen to other singers and I'm like, I don't feel you. Technically, you're great. I don't feel you though. And the same truth goes for different spiritual teachers. I listen to them, but does it feel like there's bass in my music? No. There's no bass. I want to feel the bass in my music. I want to get the goosebumps. I want to feel your pain. I want to feel where you come from, what you've been through. And I promise you this, whether you live as a dot or whether you start identifying where it is that you're accepting lack or giving away your power, and then starting to make the necessary adjustments in your life, when your power returns to you, you will skyrocket into the highest dimensional reality. And you'll never lack for anything again. Because when you're empowered, you become magnetic. When you're disempowered, you go around chasing everything because you're chasing a magnet. Okay? This is a good point. When you're giving your personal power away, you demagnetize yourself. So every time you leave your house in hopes to meet someone, who's the magnet? Are you? No, you just left your house. Something outside of you is a magnet. Every time you want to go out and sleep with someone because you're horny, who's the magnet? Not you, because you just left your house. You're letting external circumstances and outer pleasures and outer distractions run your reality. You're letting them rule your kingdom. When you're in your full power and you stop doing things you don't want to do, your energy boosts. And you start to have this very high magnetic resonance. It's a resonance. And every other thing that's leaving their house is coming to you. You're not moving. So what I'm asking you to do is to stop buying into these narratives that if you don't write a book, that if you don't PowerPoint, that if you don't sell packages, that you're not going to be successful, because that's rubbish. It's bogus. You don't need to do anything to earn your divinity because you are divine. I don't get paid for sharing these messages. I get paid because my intention is pure. I never stress about money because I already know I'm doing tons of things for the universe. You can see everything. All right? And remember, you get to program your field. You get to configure your system. Am I getting paid because I'm putting in the work and because I'm selling packages? You get to decide. It's all based on your belief system. Or am I going to believe that I'm getting paid because my frequency is incredible? You can even take it up a notch. I'm going to get paid because I'm here right now. And I'm walking this planet as a walking antenna who's constantly transmitting light frequencies. I'm going to get paid just for being here. You get to decide how you get paid in life. And I'm not just talking about monetary gain. I'm talking about your peace, your joy, your harmony, all of it. Peace is the most important thing to me. So you can design your life in such a way where you always have that. But for you, it might be something different. It may be excitement. It may be joy. It may be love. For me, it's peace. And I own it. You have to own who you are. Because that's the only way you'll be able to contribute a fine frequency to this planetary system, to the collective of the human race. That's the only way, is if you know who you are and you don't waver. All right? So I love you guys so much. Pay attention to what you're doing to perpetually disempower yourself. Are you waiting by your phone? Disempowerment. Who's the magnet there? Not you. Not you. Are you still not going to be okay until you find your purpose? That's not empowerment. You are the purpose. You're here right now. And you're not the magnet when you're looking for something outside of you to fulfill you. All you're trying to do is occupy a room within your hotel that's vacant. You're filling a void. You're trying to fill a void. No more vacancy, you guys. We have to fill up every single room. We have to occupy every room with our divinity. Every single room in that hotel. No more seeking validation as a people pleaser. No more seeking validation from society. What footprint are you going to leave on this planet? Are you going to follow the herd and create some combustion? Or are you going to leave this planet and create a volcano of an eruption? That's what I want. So I love you guys so much, and I will speak with you in another version of the Now. Thank you guys so much for the donations. Let me give you a shout out. Fred Melly, Leo Lightwork, and Marsha. Thank you guys so much. If you haven't subscribed, my face is about to pop up. I actually think it's going to pop up here. You can click that. And thanks for all the love, the comments, and all the light. Take care, guys.